firepower. He goes immediately to the front of the group, and he wants to keep the momentum going for the American squads. Beckham Drake, fourth in the individual time trial the other day. Just finished fifth in the Tour de l'Abitibi. He was second in the individual time trial there. He's ridden a few gravel races this season as well. He was 8th in the unbound gravel, the 100-mile edition. So he's a strong bike rider, Beckham Drake. He really is. He spent most of his year in America at the start until he went after that to just ride a couple of other races. He rode the Nations Cup in May, and he finished 8th overall in the stage race there. So he's had some good experience. He rides for Team California. Beckham Drake having a good day. A counter-attack coming now from Poland. Sorry, not the Polish rider on the attack now. Counter-attack coming. Trying to come across. Nicholas van der Merwe. He looks good. Comes from Bulgaria, Nicholas van der Merwe. So you're starting to see the way that this race is going. It's evolving forward all the time. Van der Merwe, he rides for the Under-19 Academy of the Region Sud, powered by Giant. 18 years of age. It's into time trial mode now. Finished 13th in the time trial the other day. He's the Bulgarian road race champion. Van der Merwe trying to get across then. Beckham Drake pushing the pace, having got into the front. He wants to use his time trialling ability to pull this gap out again. I'm wondering whether this race gives us that pattern that things go forward now in the race rather than we've seen that attritional sort of riders just going out the back. But it could be that you just end up with stronger riders going up the road all the time. These three riders working well together, sharing the pace, making very well indeed. Can Van der Merwe get there and make it 4 strong riders at the head of this Junior World Championship? Junior riders no longer on restricted gears. We used to have to restrict the gears considerably, so you'd end up with a situation where they're just spinning out all the time because of the strength of them now. But because now they're on non-restricted gears, that's why you can really see. Whoops. Fugger then just saying sorry to the camera bike, throwing some rubbish across the road, which I'm not sure it was a waste zone, but there we go. Probably shouldn't have been doing that anyway. Heading now onto the climb of Kigali Golf. Beckham Drake has got really powerful pedaling style, hasn't he, the American? You can just see the way he rides. It's very effective. A combining well, just sharing the pacemaking. They do this for the new fans of the sport. You go through to the front, you do your little bit of pacemaking, you swing across, you let the next rider come through. That way the riders behind are able to get a little bit of a rest. Just let their heart rate just drop a little bit, just kind of a micro drop. But it does mean that they're not using as much power, as much energy as they go on to the climb now for the next time. There are conversations going on. The Swiss rider just checking across at Beckham Drake. Schurtenlieb. You can see how quickly they slow down on these particular gradients. Another rider trying to come across. I don't know where Van der Merwe is, only 9 seconds behind. Now we get attack from the French squad. So the French rider trying to go across, Johan Blanc. And the motorbike is scraping its foot pegs. Such is the speed in which they're going through the corners. Now, here's the Bulgarian. He's nearly on the group. Four leaders, 81.7 kilometres to go. Last metre or so for Van der Merwe is hard. Johan Blanc. The saddle, trying to get across. The Frenchman. He rides for the Groupama FDJ Continental team. 18 years of age. Just trying to pedal his way up to the leaders again. I'm not so sure he's got the same momentum as Drake and Van der Merwe had to get across to the original two leaders. Johan Blanc, though, a useful bike rider. He just won a couple of stages in Giro del Lunigiana. That's a race that Remco Evenepoel and Tadej Pogačar have both won in their careers. He finished 13th overall in the classification. He was 5th in Grand Prix Plouay, the Frenchman. And the Merwe just trying to get a little bit of a rest before he starts to contribute to the pacemaking. That's what generally happens when riders go across to the break. We saw Drake do something different. He went straight to the front, but generally the riders will come across and they'll just say to the rider, just give me a moment, I'll just get myself composed and then I'll start to work. So Johan Blanc now going forward. Two more riders trying to come across. There's a German rider in that chasing group at the front. Well, the race is an interesting pattern, isn't it? It really has. We've seen two riders go away, one rider come across, another rider join. Now we've got another rider on his own trying to come across, another two riders behind. One of them is the Canadian Moran, Ben Moran of Canada. And then the peloton is now at 49 seconds. So we're just seeing strong riders go across. And it's Zeno Winter of Germany, who is the other rider in that chasing group. So right now, Drake, Schurtenlieb, Fugger, Van der Merwe are the riders at the front. Blanc trying to go across. Two chasers, Moran and Zeno Winter. And that's the situation out on the road so far. Johan Blanc has had a number of victories this season, the Frenchman. Peloton now at 51 seconds. It'll be interesting to see which team is on the front and which team is chasing. Well, it is Belgium. No surprises there. One of the strongest squads who started things kicking off, but actually have ended up missing this group of riders. Johan Blanc looks like he might get some company. We'll see whether these three riders can combine and work their way across to the front. And the pits are incredibly busy. A lot of riders are out of this race. Comoros, represented here by Medine, is out of the race, unfortunately. He's abandoned.
Well, it looks like we have one rider down here. It is a few riders going down here. And we're starting with the
well, they've had the experience of starting the World Championships. And over time they'll get stronger. They just need the training, they need the experience, and they need the racing. So recently, the riders who've abandoned the race: Yakubu of Niger, Sumana of Niger, Burkina Faso's Ungarua, Jordan's Hajir, and Teal of Namibia, all out of the race. Onto the climb, the cobbles this time. We're making short work of this course, aren't we? Let's see whether we get any accelerations from the peloton now. Just over 40 kilometres of racing being covered. See the work rate of these riders. Oh, and now there's a counter-attack in this front group of riders. Our original attacker has cracked. Timo Fugger just can't stay with the momentum that's being set by the front group of riders. That's a shame for him. He was the rider who animated this race. He might get a second window with his three riders coming across. So these three riders on the climb. This is the cobble climb, not Kigali Golf. This is Kimihurura. And it's the rider from Canada, Moran, there in the red and white at the front. Ben Moran, 18 years of age. Schurtenlieb has also dropped, so the original two attackers are in trouble on the cobbles. Ben Moran finished third in the Wardsley Junior Challenge this year in the Netherlands. Won a race in Genk in Belgium. He's had a good season. He's a strong bike rider. Ridden the Nations Cups as well for Canada. As we see now, we end up with two leaders at the front, and they're the two riders who came across. So our two leaders are now Drake and Van der Merwe, heading their way towards the completion of another lap and keeping this tempo as high as possible. Here's our two leaders coming to the top of the climb then. It's Beckham, Drake and Van der Merwe in the red and white and green of Bulgaria. They go over the top, heading to that 1 kilometre to go point. And now they'll work their way downhill and head towards the completion of this lap, and we'll see is the average speed being maintained. It started off very, very fast, 41.882 kilometers an hour on that first lap of racing. I think Fugger might get a little bit of a second opportunity here as these three riders drive their way across on the front. Zeno Winter of Germany, Blanc is there, and Moran of Canada. There's the peloton. One rider trying to come across from Spain. But the peloton now at 54 seconds at this point in the race. They don't seem too concerned, but there are teams now with some of the stronger teams who've got riders up the road. The USA, Canada, not worried anymore. France also won't chase because Blanc could get across to the front. So suddenly you cancel out a number of nations. It means that the onus starts to go on the likes of Poland, Belgium and other squads. Completion of another lap.
Let's all welcome the third lap out of 8.
Coming up to complete lap number 3. 5 laps of racing to go. Drake and Van der Merwe are our leaders. Average speed 40.924. It's still fast. Schurtenlieb looks around, decides that maybe he'll wait. Hopefully he can get himself in that group of riders, of which there are now 4, and go back across to the leaders potentially. The gap to Schurtenlieb is going to be 30, maybe 35, 36 seconds. He goes across at 38 seconds actually. And here's our quartet chasing. Blanc, Winter, Moran and Fugger. The gap to them is now 53 seconds. Here's the peloton. So 7 riders in effect off the front of this race. Another rider coming across. This is the Spanish rider who has got himself in the gap. This is Ucoregui. He's at 108, and this peloton is letting this gap go out. Uganda represented right up at the front. Great news for Uganda. The Eritrea still represented in here as well. Peloton come through, and the gap is going to be significant. 1:37. That is a significant margin now. Up at the front of the peloton that time, Harry Hudson of Great Britain, Benedict Benz of Germany, Salah Hamzou of Algeria, Braden Wright of USA, Josh Johnson still there for South Africa, Elias Wandel, Tristan Hardy of Mauritius, Paul Miro of Uganda riding strongly up at the front. Eritrea represented by Noam Ephraim. Mauritius have a couple of riders up towards the front of that peloton. There's now 83 riders. So things have stabilised as far as the riders are concerned. 7 off the front. and 76 riders in the peloton.
Important to drink, to eat at the right time.
Now it looks like the Spanish rider's going to get across. Karere. He had a gap of 15 seconds to this group of riders when they went across the finish line, and he's already getting himself up to the group. He's going to add a little bit more firepower there, so we're going to end up with a chasing group that contains Certainly, Blanc, Winter, Fuga, Moran and Karere. The Spanish rider makes his way and gets to the junction. 18 years of age. Just won a stage of the Vuelta Pamplona and finished 10th overall. Predominantly a race which the Spanish riders were riding for. But he's also had some good results. He rode a race in June, which was the Itzulia Junior race, and he won every single stage. Just rode away with every single day of that race. That's not bad, is it? And that race is 4 stages, so he won every stage, the individual time trial and 3 road stages and the general classification. He was on a rich vein of form then, because before that he won a race in Vitoria-Gasteiz, and then he also won Gipuzkoa as well, so he's a rider who's had some fantastic results. He rides for a team called GT Tolosa, team that's based in Spain. Here's our 2 leaders again. Heading towards then the Côte de Kigali Gulf. We're going to reach the bottom of that with 67.1 kilometres to go on this lap. Now this group of riders really do need to get themselves organised, and this shot is fantastic because it gives you a real sense now of how much this road rears up. These 2 riders are really now putting this peloton under a little bit of pressure. 1:35, they're holding this advantage, and you can see that they have real momentum at the front of this race, these 2. If you've just joined us now, they rode across to 2 leaders. They did it individually. The first to get there was Drake. Van der Merwe was the second to get there. Once they got to that group of riders at the front, they got rid of them on the cobbles and they just rode away. The original 2 riders in the breakaway are in this group chasing. Fuga there on the right, wearing number 30, and the Swiss rider Certainly they just couldn't stay. They had looked very, very good in the race before they were caught, and then things went a little bit awry for them. The chasing group of riders has kind of come together, but they don't seem to have the momentum to get across to these leaders yet. Zeno Winter, Johan Blanc, Ukaregui and Ben Moran. But they're not really closing this gap, and the peloton is only 20 seconds behind them, and you get the sense that potentially, as the Shimano neutral service car goes past, that really these riders might see their lead evaporate, and then we'll end up with two leaders with a massive gap back to the peloton at maybe 1.5 minutes or so. Heading on to Kigali Golf, with the golf course on the right-hand side that the riders can look down on, and the massive houses on the left-hand side. Mount Kigali looks out over this particular area, one of the capital's highest natural points with the panoramic views. Over the weekend, we're going to see much more of the sights of this particular area, I'm sure. But as the riders ride through the golf course now, 65 hectares, it really encompasses the land of 1,000 hills, of which Rwanda is known. And the golf course itself, 6,500 meters long with 18 holes. And it's literally just outside the center, so you suddenly go to this oasis of peace outside a bustling city centre. Here's our chasing group, still keeping things together. They've got to keep the faith that they can get themselves to the front, but 1:15, 1:14, it's just hovering. Ultimately, you wonder what their hope is going to be. These two leaders have been away for a long time now. They don't see any, you don't see any sort of sense that the two leaders are losing interest, losing momentum. They seem to have really good legs today, as more riders are out of the race. Tunisia and Turkey and Mexico. It's been a tough race. And we're not even halfway through yet. At the end of this lap, we get 4 laps to go. We'll be at the midway point. Thanks very much for joining me. If you'd like to be in touch, at Ant McCrossan. One of the American riders is out of the race here. That is Adamski. Abandons the race for the USA. On to Kigali Golf again. We talked a little while ago about Vicentini, who was the first ever winner of this race in 1975. Since then, Greg LeMond also took the title in 1979. LeMond ultimately winning the Professional Road Race Championship, which for many years we had a professional race and an amateur race as well. And I remember Greg LeMond taking that victory. He kind of first was noticed, I guess, in the 1982 World Road Race Championships, won by Giuseppe Cerrone in the pro ranks, held in Great Britain in Goodwood. LeMond attacking on the final climb to try and, as we see, an American flag cheering on Beckham Drake. And LeMond attacking to try and go across to the leader. There was a lot of discussion that day because Jock Boyer was one of the riders he attacked, and that was his teammate. Boyer now very involved in African cycling. Other riders who've won this junior championship, to give you an idea of names and how important this championship is and has become. Damiano Cunego, the Little Prince, the winner of the Giro d'Italia, won it in 1999. This looks to me like Max Gould. Angolan rider is out. God, there's so many riders who are just coming. Max Gould at 120. In fact, he's now with the Chasers, so he's got momentum, Max Gould. Is this peloton giving this lead group way too much time? And a Junior World Championship to give a group 2:11. It's taken some risks with 64k to go. And they're not riding, are they, as though they're just maintaining the leads. They're riding as though they don't believe they're going to come back. Damiano Cunego then won in 1999, the winner of the Giro d'Italia and so many other bike races. Roman Kreuziger was a winner in 2004. He had a fantastic career, and Kreuziger now one of the sports directors in one of the cars. Kreuziger 2004. Jasper Stuyven, winner in 2009. Stuyven moving from the Lidl Trek team at the end of the season to move on to pastures new. Matti Moric was the winner in 2012. I remember commentating on that victory of Matti Moric that day. Moric went on, of course, to so much in his career. I'm not sure where he's going to be next season. He's kind of talking as though he wants to still be a Bahrain victorious, but I'm not sure whether that deal is being done or not. Here's the peloton. Belgium are going to have to start to chase soon, and they're going to have to start to chase pretty hard. So are the Dutch. There's no sight of them other than being sitting quite long way down the peloton. When do they really start the chase, and are they that controlled? Oh, a problem here. This is Van der Merwe. Oh, not good news. That's going to take the momentum out of this front group. Oh, what happened? Nicolas van der Merwe is now out of the front group, and that's really not good news. Does Beckham Drake wait for him? What does he do? He was at a standstill for a while. Oh, terrible news for the breakaway, terrible news for Van der Merwe. Let's see what happened. And he had a problem with his gears, comes to a standstill. And just to right it pretty quickly, the chain came off the front ring. And it looks like Beckham Drake has done the right thing and has steadied up a little bit. Then they'll need to get themselves together, because two riders with 62k to go is much better news. Beckham Drake just pedalling steadily now. Looks around, checks over his shoulder, doing the right thing. Beckham Drake very, very aware of what is going on. This is our chasing group of riders. Matthew van der Poel was the winner of this race in 2013. And also Felix Gall was the winner 2 years later in 2015. We all remember Quinn Simmons attacking on his own in 2019 to race away in Harrogate. And another rider who's won it more recently as well, Remco Evenepoel. He was the winner in 2018. That was the first time where we saw the real sight of Remco Evenepoel and the possibility he was going to be one of the best bike riders in the world.
Yes, inshuti bakunzi ba Iriza UGTV, reka nizere ko mumeze neza, nizere ko kandi amahoro y'Imana yakomeje kubana namwe. Turi gukurikira shampiyona y'isi mu magare iri kubera i Kigali mu Rwanda. Inshuti bakunzi rero ba Iriza UGTV, ndagira ngo dukurikire iyi live n'amasiganwa amagare, ndagenda mbagezaho uko ibintu bigenda bihindagurika. Ikindi noneho reka tufatanye dutange n'ibitekerezo. Muri kubona isuku y'u Rwanda, murabona uburyo umutekano uhagaze ahantu, abanyonzi barishimye bafite amafu. By the way, n'ikirere noneho cyaradukundiye kirabikora. Mutange ibitekerezo, mwandike muri komenti, ndetse kandi mukomeze mukande subscribe kuri Iriza UGTV. Twahisemo gufata uyu mwanya noneho kugira ngo namwe tuganire, mu by'ukuri mugende mutanga ibitekerezo kuri shampiyona y'isi. Shampiyona yamaze kumanuka iza mu myanya y'imbere muri shampiyona zagiye ziba, iza mu myanya y'imbere muri shampiyona nziza zabayeho ku bijyanye n'isiganwa ry'amagare ku isi.
Over 2 minutes with the loss of Van der Merwe for a little while means that the gap is down to 1:18 already. These two leaders, they'll need to up the pace a little bit more. A little chat and conversation between them that time as they went through and shared the pacemaking. It's notable which nations are represented here at the front and which aren't. Max Gould is still up there for Australia. Another Australian.